you know what you're falling for.
Hey everyone, so a lot has changed for me in the past few months. So like I said in my last video, I moved to a new apartment, and that's because I mentioned my boyfriend before we broke up, and that's a little bit pertinent to the topic that I'm talking about now. And so what was the reason that we broke up? You know, I'm not totally sure. It was his idea, but I was the one that did it, so I basically dumped myself for him. Yeah, so what was the reason for it? I didn't sit down and talk to him about it because honestly, it just didn't matter. I actually just really wasn't interested. I have a couple of suspicions though. One is he was kind of at a precipice of his life where he was just kind of having like identity issues, and he was just like not happy with his life. But anyway, I think that he kind of thought that if he did some huge life change, like breaking up with his girlfriend, then maybe things might change for the better. So, and you know, I totally get that. I understand that. And us breaking up really wasn't a bad thing. The relationship was good. It was solid. It wasn't turbulent. It was healthy. But I don't think we really had all that much in common. We loved each other. I really truly think that. Maybe he ended up thinking I loved the dog more. That's also maybe partially why we broke up. But yeah, it wasn't a bad idea. Actually, things did turn out better for me. And another reason is that I went into our relationship as an atheist. And he is not only an atheist, he is a fundamentalist atheist. And halfway into our relationship, I told him, you know, I'm thinking about becoming Wiccan. He didn't like that. And it's understandable. I get it. He doesn't have to accept that, really. He's not allowed to give me an ultimatum whether I wanted to really be Wiccan or not. If he were to say, like, it's me or that religion, I would have totally said, well, it's not you. So, but, you know, it's okay if that became a problem. I understand that, you know. People can make decisions about who they want to date. Kind of thought that that was a really big issue. But like I said, I don't know. I didn't talk to him about it. I wasn't interested, honestly. I was happy with myself, so there was nothing that I was going to change. There certainly wasn't anything I was going to change for him. So it really wasn't worth it to know. So that relationship is over. So now I'm back in the dating game, and I move on really fast. It wasn't like I was looking for a new boyfriend by any means. I was just kind of like wanting to meet people and have a good time. The way that I like to meet people is on dating sites. I mean, I've been using them for years, and really it is a really effective way to meet people. And some people think like, oh, but like there's freaks on that site. Not necessarily, or maybe there is, and that's just the kind of people I like. The whole subject of this video is, what's it like to date as a witch? This is the first time I've done this. I'm on a few dating sites. On a couple of them, I say that there's two things that could be potential deal breakers for anyone who's considering me. One of them is I have bipolar disorder, but I qualify that saying, you know, I'm in recovery. I take recovery very seriously, and for all intents and purposes, I'm kind of in remission. So, but I also say, you know, I'm a Wiccan. And I talk a little bit about that. I say, you know, I've been studying since mid-2012. I started calling myself one in 2015, beginning of 2015. And I say, you know, Wicca is a fertility religion that observes the seasonal and lunar cycles and embraces witchcraft. And I say, like, you know, some people don't really know what it is, maybe misinformed. So if you have any questions, just ask me and I will try to answer them as best I can. So let me bring up 3 stories about how that became like an issue, I guess. So first was on Tinder. You know, I'm on Tinder, and that's a little different in terms of the dating game. It's not something I take seriously. It's like literally a game. And the fun part of it is like being really cryptic about yourself and just like seeing what happens. So on my Tinder, I do have a connection to my Instagram, and there are a few pictures on there that make it very obvious that I'm at least into like occult type stuff. But I also have this thing at the end of my profile say, witchin' is bitchin'. So I matched with this one guy, and he said, what does witchin' is bitchin' mean? And I said, I'm a witch. He said, really? I said, yes. Instant unmatch. It's like, okay, well, that is a clear-cut example of being totally rejected because of being a witch. So this other guy was on another site. I feel like we really connected. He actually expressed that, I like everything about you, but the witchcraft thing kind of freaks me out a little bit. And he was Christian. And when we talked about it, he did have the wrong idea of what that meant. He thought it was like a devil worshiper, that kind of thing. But he was open to talk about it, which is cool. So, I talked to him a great deal about it. Not really about the practice and stuff, but I talked more about like the social dynamics and the history, because I think that's way more fascinating. We saw each other a few times and he seemed really, really into me, but then it just kind of like stopped. He didn't like ghost on me or anything, but he just was like less responsive and wasn't as like aggressive, So I was like, okay, well, this is fizzling out. He must not be interested. And okay, so what's the reasons he was not interested? It could be that he just lost interest, or maybe there was something about me that he found out that he just didn't like. It could be he found somebody else that interested him more and he wanted to concentrate on her more. Or it could be the witchcraft stuff, that maybe he decided that, like, well, this is just too weird for me. That's fine. And then the third story I want to tell, I was seeing this guy a few times. Really, really funny person. But he kind of gave me this feeling, like, the story. Guy goes to the doctor, and he says, Doctor, I'm depressed. And the doctor says, go see Pagliacci the clown. Nobody can be sad when they watch him. And the guy starts to cry and says, Doctor, I am Pagliacci. That kind of is the feeling I got from the guy. I feel like he was hiding something behind his humor, because that guy was always on. So, like I said, we hung out a few times, and the last night that we hung out, and actually the last conversation we had, was after he showed me a magic trick that actually failed. He messed it up. A couple of things that he was doing to try to distract me from what he was trying to do with the magic trick was he was bringing up, like, occult concepts, like saying, salt is magical, silver is a connection with the moon, some kind of stuff like that. So the conversation got into like occult stuff. Of course, he knew I was a witch. I mean, he's been over to my place. How could he not? And, I'm one of those like insufferable cultists who will say, well, there's a difference between illusions and magic. And he just gave me this really smug look, and he's like, magic isn't real. So I said, okay. And the way I said it was not to be dismissive, wasn't to try to shut him down or anything. I thought I said it rather plainly, and to further communicate, okay, I hear you, I accept what you just said, but I'm really not interested in conversing about it in like further. But he had a different idea. He wanted to talk about it more. And, like, he was getting, like, real heated about it. He was all like, well, do you think unicorns exist? And I said, well, no, but that doesn't really have to do with the occult. But he just kept going on. And I was trying to say things like, okay, well, this is what magic is supposed to be. And I gave the Aleister Crowley definition, the short definition of action at a distance, that kind of thing. But I didn't, like, try to explain how it works or how it does work. I'm not fully on board with it. And even if I was, that's just not a discussion that is helpful to anyone, to be honest. Yeah, he just kept going on, and I was just like staring at him as he was doing this kind of energized diatribe. And then eventually was like, I'm sorry, I'm being a jerk. And I said, no, that's okay. I mean, yeah, I don't want to offend you with what I do believe in. I mean, like, you seem to be getting kind of upset, kind of heated about it. Yeah, I'm more worried about you. And that kind of ended the conversation, and I don't know exactly how he took it. I don't know if he felt insulted. I don't know if he thought it was trying to be sarcastic with him or something. But I mean, absolutely, like, people can be just as passionate about their non-beliefs as other people can be as passionate about what they do believe in. And I guess he was kind of hoping that I would be as passionate about what I do believe in, so that we could have a debate and so that he could win and he could feel smart, I guess. Whatever. So yeah, that was the absolute last conversation we had. And it was just, I mean, it didn't like storm out or anything like that. You know, we just sat on the couch and watched cartoons. But after that, we didn't really talk to each other. I don't know if it's also another instances, like, was it the witchcraft stuff? Did he not want to see me anymore because of the witchcraft stuff? There was other issues. I feel like he was a little too spunky for me. He was a little too energized. He was a little too loud. And maybe I was a little too subdued for him. Maybe he needed somebody with, you know, as much energy as he had. And we had a lot in common, but I guess our personalities just didn't mix well. So those are 3 stories about witchcraft becoming a topic of clashing, I guess. But honestly, most people, they seem to be okay with it. And the people that aren't okay with it, I'm sure, just don't message me. So in conclusion, what is it like to date as a witch? I thought it would be like, oh gosh, I'm gonna like not have as much traffic as I used to. But that's really not the case. I have about as much game as I always have, you know, as much people, you know, like me, as much people don't like me, and as much people are just like, nah, you know. Of course, I haven't found like the special guy that I really connect with. And I guess it was just like a few weeks ago I started thinking, maybe I'm ready for something a little deeper. Not really commitment quite yet, but maybe I can feel comfortable with developing feelings for somebody. But yeah, I mean, it seems like telling people I'm Wiccan and a witch doesn't seem to have a lot of bearing on my ability to attract men. Actually, it might have done a little bit better for me because, you know, I've realized that Wicca has actually improved me. And when I say that, it's not because, you know, I do magic spells and I get what I want or anything like that. It's kind of like a psychological thing. And I'll probably talk about that in another video. I think it behooves everyone to let your potential matches know things about you that some people might not accept. And one of them is being pagan. It's not something people expect, and it's not something people are maybe really even keen on. So it really helps to weed out the people who just don't want any of that. And to do something like keep it a secret as you get to know somebody and they develop feelings for you, and then just like spring it on them later, that's not fair. That's like trapping them and holding them hostage using their feelings. So yeah, when it comes to things that could be potential deal breakers, be upfront with the people who could be potential matches for you. You know, it's fair and it behooves everyone. So yeah, that's been my experience so far as a dating witch. Things are actually going good. Still need to find like the right guy, but you know, it's really only been like what? How long has it been? Like a half a year. I don't really want to find another boyfriend in a half a year. So things are going good. Yeah, I'm having fun. At the very least, I'm having a lot of fun. That's it for this video, and thank you for watching, and blessed be. Mwah.